off with Rowdy Rebel, right? So I was perusing through social media, and I came across a couple of different blog posts that look something similar to this right here, man. And as you see right there in this blog post, it basically says that, well, it says this, that rapper Rowdy Rebel has reportedly been arrested in LA for possession of a gun by a convicted felon while on parole. Now, as I read through that, you could hear how it got worse and worse and worse, man. We went from first he was being arrested to then he was arrested with a gun, then he's a convicted felon with a gun, and then he's on parole. That's 4 levels of worse. You know what I'm saying? I'm counting on my hands. You know what I mean? And it looks like for Rowdy Rebel, this isn't going to have a happy ending. Now, crazy enough, when it comes to Rowdy Rebel and it comes to Bobby Shmurda, we were happy when they were released from prison, man. It was like one time where you seen the whole hip-hop community, their hood, everybody involved was celebrating when they got out of jail, man, or prison, I should say. Because, you know, when GS9 went to their whole RICO, Bobby Shmurda took the extra time so Rowdy Rebel could take less time. It just felt like the right thing, you know what I'm saying? Not in a common sense looking out for myself type of level, but on a street level, you know? It was a pure example of some cats who were literally upholding the street culture and the street rules, you know what I mean? Now, with that being said, they hit the ground running. You know, they didn't have as good a rollout as Finesse 2 Times in the music department, but as far as promotional hip-hop, people just, you know, as far as momentum and just having a lot of backing and people really shouting them out and pushing behind them, Rowdy Rebel and Bobby Shmurda really had the hip-hop community to have their back, man. It was great to see, you know what I'm saying? And it just felt like things were going to be going good for them. Crazy enough, Rowdy Rebel and Bobby Shmurda were not able to capitalize on all this newfound fame. You know, Rowdy Rebel was already kind of famous for his computer song, or his version of the computer song that he did. And, you know, at the early starts of the New York drill movement, you know, you'll never be able to take that away from him and Bobby Shmurda. But as far as like being a well-known international superstar rapper, no. But when they got out of prison, they got that kind of love. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of love was there for them. And everybody was here for it. So we thought they would follow that up with more success in the rap game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, man. I don't know what it was. There was so many rumors about the labels. You know, there were so many rumors about who was going to be featuring on what. Then there was a rumor that him and Bobby had fell out. But still, hip-hop had their back. Even when they dropped their first single where, I mean, Rowdy Rebel wasn't really dancing that much, but Bobby Shmurda was dang near twerking in this song. You know what I'm saying? And I got it. You know what I'm saying? Get away from the gangster label. You know what I mean? They wanted to get away from the streets label that was on them because they both were still dealing with parole. They still had to look at a situation where they had parole and then that they would have to be out here trying to navigate in the hip-hop space, which is in the drill space is ultraviolet, while also being, you know, trying not to lose any face in the public. You know, this is what I always say in interviews too. When it comes to being a drill rapper, it just adds so much added pressure that you don't need already as an artist. Number one, you got to focus on being an artist, making good music, making hits that vibe with people, booking shows, going places, doing things, making the right connections. And being a drill artist or being a street artist who's a member of a gang, you know, that adds a whole nother layer of difficulty to that because you've got to fully incorporate the mindset of what you are coming from the streets into a legit business now. You know what I mean? Say what you want about the hip-hop community or hip-hop or music industry, right? It's a legit business. So you're expected to do things as a regular citizen, as a person who's just working a job pretty much, right? And that street element adds a layer of danger that doesn't need to be there, because now you can't go to meet and greets like everybody else. Now you can't host every party and things that everybody else does, because now you got a whole element of danger. Somebody trying to knock you off your square, somebody trying to rob you, somebody trying to do something to you for some sort of clout. But as this pertains to Rowdy Rebel in this situation with him getting arrested, is I can see why he might have a gun on him. I know.
Bruh.
Not the good message. You know, if you got a case, you got pending cases or anything like that, do not have a weapon on you. Do not break any laws. Please stick to the guidelines of your parole is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But all those things together, you'll see why there might be a gun around him. Now, it's not saying in this or in any of the blog posts that I've seen that Rowdy Rebel was actually the person with the gun on them. Like, I believe they were pulled over in a car, if I'm not mistaken. So it might have just been, hey, people, the gun is on everybody type of deal, because that happens a lot. A car gets pulled over, there's a weapon in the car, nobody wants to cop to the weapon, everybody in the car gets the weapons charged. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's the situation. And if that's the situation, I'm hoping one of his homeboys can either take that gun for him, or if it is his gun, or we'll see how it plays out, man. But with Rowdy Rebel, just looks like a bad look, because it looks like you haven't learned a thing. And I hate to be what it looks like picking from the comments, but it looks like you ain't learned a thing from what you've already gone through, man. But on the other end, I can see why he would need a gun around him. You know, he's in LA, a place that's known for killing rappers from New York. Like, is known for that. Then, on top of that, he's had previous beefs and things like that, which I want to get to now, man. So Rowdy Rebel isn't just running into this situation all willy-nilly and, you know, might have to protect himself. There's good reason why Rowdy Rebel might have thought that he needed to protect himself in this situation. And one of those being the fact that he had offended a very, very dangerous organization, or I should say gang. Look at this post this guy made on TikTok, who kind of breaks this down exactly what was being said at the time. Now, this was like a year ago, I want to say, maybe 2 years ago. It was like relatively early in them getting released from prison. But Rowdy Rebel had said some things about this gang out in LA called the Hoovers. Now, the Hoovers, some call them Hoover Crips, some call them Hoovers criminals. There's different sides to that. Like, some of them, they claim to be Hoover criminals, HC. Some of them claim to be Hoover Crips still from a holdover from back in the day. But most people call them the Hoovers. You know, they refer to them as the Hoovers. They're notorious for being grimy, notorious for doing people dirty, notorious for taking people's lives. And their members from the Hoovers have already spoken in interviews and talked about the fact that they were the ones who took the life of Pop Smoke.
Bruh.
Yeah, no jokes, bruh. So this, I mean, really, really dangerous organization. You know what I mean? And Rowdy Rebel did some things to offend them. And we'll bring up that post in a little bit, but he made some posts that offended this organization. But listen to this guy's breakdown of the situation.
Yes, he was in Los Angeles, and he went on Twitter when he left, and he said, "I'm out LA, and to all the Hoovers, blank my blank," okay? So, what I gotta say about this is,
now you guys could put the lines together in that one, you know what I'm saying, or fill in the blanks. When he said SMD out of disrespect, so that much, you know what I mean?
I know you're upset over Pop Smoke, okay? I know you're from New York. But one thing that people got to understand is, just because somebody's in a set or in a gang and they do something that you don't like, you don't have to diss the whole set or the whole gang, okay? Just because...
This dude dropping gems, man. Like him saying he probably could have said, you know, in his post that, you know, he could have dissed the guys who took Pop Smoke's life. You know what I mean? He could have dissed the people who were responsible for shooting Pop Smoke and robbing him, and you know, say that was a cowardly act, and he doesn't agree with that. But for him to diss a whole Hoover criminal gang, or just all the Hoovers, the criminals and the Crips, all that together, when they roll pretty deep, and now he's locked up in jail or in prison, or excuse me, in jail in LA, is crazy, man. Now, Rowdy Rebel is reportedly a Crip, so maybe he's got some people that he's tuned in with in LA, but it'll never outlast what cats got homegrown there in LA. You know, like their beefs, their phase that they're running, and everything that they keep up with locally. You know, you still come in this as an outsider, which is crazy.
Bruh.
Because that one person's actions doesn't mean that the whole set or the whole gang is bad. So now Rowdy Rebel just disrespected one of the biggest gangs in America. You know, they got Hoovers everywhere, you know what I mean?
Now, I don't know about the Hoovers being one of the biggest gangs in America, but definitely as far as South Central LA, yeah.
I'm saying, and now he put a target on his back, and that's never good, okay? Never diss a whole set or a whole gang unless you really want them problems, man. It's Young Dom. Like, comment, subscribe.
Now, I agree with a lot of what that dude just said, man. What Rowdy Rebel did by dissing the Hoovers, even though it was a couple years ago or whatnot, that was a bad mistake to make. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a smart move to make, because him dissing that whole gang or the entire gang, as opposed to just a set or an individual, opens him up to a situation where if he's in LA County Jail, they're going to check on him and see what's up with that. They're going to ask him what's up with that specifically. They're going to want to know exactly what's going on and why you had that on your chest about our organization, right? And you just multiplied the number of people that you made upset. You didn't make upset just the people who were responsible for taking Pop Smoke's life. You made upset everybody, which could be hundreds, almost thousands of people in that who affiliate with that group, or, you know what I'm saying, the people who are directly members of that gang, and the people, you know, who are from those neighborhoods. So it's a wild situation to put yourself in, because it's definitely put itself in that situation, right? Now, what's crazy about it is we have yet to hear anything from Rowdy Rebel's camp yet about the potential for him to, or that he had made any type of apology or went back on any of this that he had said. Many a times in the past, when he said some things, he's gone and stood on it. So I don't expect him to do anything other than that in this situation. But to invite that into your life, much like we talked about earlier, is crazy, man. Because who in the world wanted with a whole gang in a city that you're not from when you know you frequent that city? That's the one part that gets me. It's like, okay, Rowdy Rebel, you know that you be in LA, man. You know you guys stay moving throughout the music industry. I mean, maybe he feels that tough, but it just doesn't seem like a wise situation. So this right here is the post that he made that the guy in the video was referencing. And it was on his story. And basically you can see right here where he said, LA, I'm out of here, SMD. Now somebody could have took this and misconstrued it and said he was dissing the whole LA with that middle finger and saying SMD. And then he put the laughing emoji. Then he said, all Hoovers. Y'all see this? All Hoovers, SMD. Yeah, they probably going to want to see about that, man. They probably going to want to talk to him.
Bruh.
Now, I don't speak for Hoovers. I don't know what their organization is, who's in there, what's going on with them. But when you make a bold statement like that about a whole entire gang and then get locked up in the LA County Jail, where you know they run those fades. You know they all itching to find somebody. Like, we've seen numerous videos. We're like, hey, who's old boy coming in here? Oh, he from what? Yeah, you got some fades coming. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't the funniest thing in the world, because I ain't saying that Rowdy Rebel should be scared or he should be ready to turn anything down or anything like that. It just seems like, why in the world would you do that without any type of foresight or anything like that? Now, maybe he had a run-in with the Hoovers before he got on the plane. You know what I mean? Which is a little weird, too. Like, you're going to say this before you get on the plane? You probably should have said this to whoever you had the issue with. But I think the whole thing spawns from the fact, it seems like the whole thing spawns from the fact of the Hoovers being involved with a certain set of the Hoovers being involved with taking the life of Pop Smoke. You know, Pop Smoke losing his life over a watch that they ended up selling, I think, for like $5,000. They split it between $1,000 each. Number one, it was stupid, dog. You're an idiot, man. You took somebody's life for a watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, LA, this is what is scary about LA. You know what I'm saying? And I'll admit this as a grown man. In LA, it's one of those places where people are not afraid to pull that trigger if they show up to rob you. Like, if you get robbed in LA, come up off it, man. Just let it be gone. I know it hurts. I know you gonna feel that. But to be real, them dudes will squeeze that trigger quick. They will kill you for that watch. You know what I'm saying? They will kill you for that wallet. You know what I mean? They'll do that. You know, and we've seen it numerous times, seen numerous examples of it. And it's crazy, to say the least, that these cats still live like this. But LA is LA, man. And Rowdy Rebel has found himself in a weird situation here where he probably, would want to take back those things that he said previously. But at this point, he got to stand on that because he's in jail now. And I'm pretty sure once he touched down, anybody who had any animosity or anybody who wasn't even thinking about it, they're thinking about it now because, these posts have been going crazy where people are talking about the diss that he had towards the Hoovers. So, man, we'll see how that pans out for Rowdy Rebel.
Bruh.